Right then, so as you guys can tell, I'm back in England after an amazing experience in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, watching the fight card of the century live in the flesh. It was absolutely unbelievable. The experience was absolutely incredible in Riyadh, watching the fight card of the century live in the flesh. It was absolutely unbelievable. My favorite ever boxing event that I've been to by country mile, and probably going to be my favorite ever boxing event for the rest of my life. Not gonna lie, my favorite ever holiday as well. It was absolutely unbelievable. I've already done this intro for my other video as well, but I just want to say this in this video as well. We're here to talk about Agit Kabayel. And as you can tell from the thumbnail that I'm going to have on this video as well, managed to get a photo with the WBC interim heavyweight champion of the world. I'm absolutely buzzing with that, to be completely honest with you. That was, of course, after Agit Kabayel's big win over Zhilei Zhang on the fight card of the century. And I called it exactly how it went. I said Kabayel would win in round 6 with the bodywork as well. And that is exactly what happened. So I'm over the moon with Kabayel. I've been backing him like all the way, to be fair, especially since he's joined Riyadh season. I backed him to win all of his 3 fights. When people have been doubting him as well, I've always stuck by Agit Kabayel. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of this guy. I'm a big fan of this guy. And, yeah, it was good to have a moment of his time. Anyway, yeah, after his big win in the arena, it was good to have a moment of the WBC Interim World Heavyweight Champions time. Anyway, what is next for Agit Kabayel? What is next for him? I think he's a very interesting person to match up now. I really do. Agit Kabayel's a really interesting one. Like, does he get his world title shot at Alexander Usyk? Does he fight Daniel Dubois? Does he fight Joseph Parker? Does he fight Kubrat Pulev? No, he'd destroy him. Does he fight Lawrence Okolie? Does he fight Anthony Joshua? Does he fight Tyson Fury? What does Agit Kabayel do? He's in a really interesting situation right now, in my opinion. And I also think that Kabayel's 100% cemented himself as a top 5 heavyweight. 100%. Like, you can't even like counter that. Like, Kabayel's a top 5 heavyweight. What does he do now? What does he do now? So, obviously, he's beaten Makhmudov. He's beaten Frank Sanchez. Now he's beaten Zhilei Zhang. What do we see Agit Kabayel do now? I think that Agit Kabayel, I think I wouldn't mind seeing him up against Anthony Joshua. I think that could be an interesting fight, and I feel like that's a fight that Agit Kabayel can definitely win. I feel like Kabayel's just really dangerous when he's coming forward. He can ball those forward very nicely. He can box well behind his knee turn at times as well. And his body works, honestly, he's a master at it. And it's ridiculously dangerous, and he can really break you down and fully drain you with it. And that's what we saw in his win against Zhilei Zhang. We saw Agit Kabayel brutally beat down Zhilei Zhang with the body work and just tired him out with it badly. So that's exactly what Agit Kabayel was able to do in that fight. Could he do that to Anthony Joshua? I feel like it's an interesting stylistic matchup. Agit Kabayel versus Joseph Parker, what happens in that? I think I made a video on that fight like back in July saying how I'd want to see it. And I still do. I feel like Agit Kabayel versus Joseph Parker would be an absolutely incredible fight. Again, 2 completely different styles. And in my opinion, Agit Kabayel is very capable of beating everyone in the division. 100%. I feel like he's got the potential to be able to do it. I feel like if he gets Alexander Usyk, I mean, he's in the position to do that now. I think Kabayel is a very hard stylistic matchup for Usyk. I think Usyk beats Kabayel, though. I don't think anyone beats Usyk. But style-wise, Kabayel's very difficult for Usyk. Kabayel's body works very good, and if there is person to try and take something out of Usyk and try and drain him out as much as possible, I feel like that would be Kabayel because of his constant body attacks. And with how strong he is, he's very good at just being able to drain you out. Again, we saw it in that Zhilei Zhang fight, and that was the perfect example of it. Even when Agit Kabayel got dropped against Zhilei Zhang, he got back up and won the rest of the round. Then in the next round, knocked Zhilei Zhang out with the body shots, brutally winded him. That's what we saw from Agit Kabayel in that Zhang fight. That's what we saw from him in the Mudov fight as well. And his pressure is able to drain you out as well. And at times, he is good behind the jab when he is coming in as well. He's very, very, very dangerous. Agit Kabayel versus Tyson Fury. That could be an interesting fight. I mean, that was meant to happen a few years ago as well. And honestly, it could be a decent fight for Fury to come back to. But it's also a big possible potential banana skin for Tyson Fury, one that I really do believe Agit Kabayel could win. I really think Kabayel could beat Fury. I do. I feel like his pressure's good. I feel like, to beat Fury, you need to cut off the ring well. And that's what Kabayel does. He can beat you down. He's got very good high volume. He can beat you down. And his volume's what's been able to get his opponents out of there. And again, that Zhang fight's an amazing example. Volume is what wins Kabayel these fights, and his body attack and his power. It's what wins Kabayel fights, and it's something that causes a lot of these heavyweights problems. You don't see a load of heavyweights, doing much body work unless you're Alexander Usyk and Kabayel. They're the only two heavyweights right now that you really see working the body. That is true. And also as well, Kabayel is one of, the highest volume punchers in the heavyweight division as well. You don't see much heavyweights other than Agit Kabayel and Alexander Usyk. With the volume that they have, you don't see that. Agit Kabayel is still ridiculously underrated, but I feel like that Zhilei Zhang win fully set a statement to everyone. That Zhilei Zhang win for Agit Kabayel set a statement to the world. Agit Kabayel literally set a statement in that fight after beating Zhilei Zhang. That was a proper statement from Agit Kabayel. What else could we see from Kabayel? What other big fights? I do think he does deserve a title shot. Kabayel versus Daniel Dubois. That's one that we need to talk about as well. Honestly, I think that Kabayel's got a kind of style that could actually make Daniel Dubois quit. I do. I think Kabayel coming forward and his volume, I think he could be stronger than Dubois at times. I feel like Kabayel would definitely be able to push Dubois back, and that's something that Dubois won't like at all. And that's what I thought Parker was going to do if that Dubois fight did happen. But obviously, Dubois was sick, so Parker went on and beat Bicoli instead. But that's what I thought Parker was going to do, push Dubois back. And Dubois doesn't like that. We saw it when Hrgović pushed Dubois back. He didn't like that. That's what I thought Parker was going to do to him. But obviously, as I said, we didn't see the fight because Dubois pulled out. But that's what Kabayel will do. Kabayel will be able to push Daniel Dubois back. If Kabayel can go in there and push someone like Zhilei Zhang back, who literally no one pushes back, then, he can push Daniel Dubois back. Joseph Parker couldn't push Zhang back. Joyce couldn't push Zhang back. Wilder couldn't push Zhang back. They couldn't keep him off him. Agit Kabayel could. Agit Kabayel could keep Zhang off him and push him back. Agit Kabayel can push Dubois back and drain him to the body, beat him down with volume, and get him out of there and make him quit possibly. I really do think Kabayel's got a difficult start for Daniel Dubois to deal with. That's my opinion. But very interesting stuff for Kabayel. What are the main fights I'd want to see for him next? Honestly, if I'm being real, I wouldn't mind seeing Dubois, Kabayel, and Alexander Usyk, Joseph Parker. I wouldn't mind that. But I also wouldn't mind seeing Anthony Joshua fight Agit Kabayel. That's something I'd quite like to see. So for Kabayel, I think possibly Daniel Dubois next for him, or Anthony Joshua. But, again, though, Kabayel's the interim WBC champion, and that's the belt that Usyk holds. But again, Turki Al-Sheikh's good at, changing stuff up. But still, though, Agit Kabayel could be very much in line for Alexander Usyk next as well, though. That's the thing. Anyway, what an incredible heavyweight Agit Kabayel was. And, it was great to see him fight in person. And it was great to get a picture of him as well. Anyway, thank you all for watching.